All right, well, we'll see if the listeners prosper today.
Well, boy, can we give you a shot of adrenochrome or something to jack you up today? You're still tired from last week, aren't you? I'm in fighting fit, as Bobby Fulton used to say, fighting for air and fit for nothing. But I'm ready to go today.
And now we have no reviews today, so this is the first in a while.
Yes, so maybe we'll have a good show today without these wrestlers to interrupt us.
I'm looking through some questions here. This is the first time I've gotten the questions within like 20 minutes.
Have you gotten out of practice? You've lost
It's been
the
a while.
ability to practice. Do you know what today is, by the way, also? Today is the 50-year anniversary. It was 50 years ago today, the release of Me and Mrs. Jones by Billy Paul. Did you see this on Twitter earlier?
You know, I did not see the headline, but I saw a Billy Paul video, the one video that always plays whenever anyone talks about Billy Paul.
Yes.
I saw that video, so I didn't realize the connotation, I guess.
Me
Oh, God.
and Mrs. Jones. We got a thing going on.
Hey, let me ask you a question, because
we both know that it's wrong.
you do this to everyone.
But it's much too strong.
Come on.
To let it go now. What did you say?
What I was going to
We
say.
meet at the same cafe. No, go ahead. What were you saying? I'm sorry. I was lost in the groove.
Do you think nowadays he would use Adult Friend Finder?
Well, possibly it would be easier.
Instead of meeting in a cafe?
At the same cafe at 4:30.
Right.
And by the way, where was Mr. Jones?
At work?
That they could, but at work at 4:30, he's about to get off, right?
You don't know.
Billy Paul's about to get off.
What does he do? Maybe he's going into work late. Maybe he's a night workman.
What shift was Mr. Jones working on at that time, where Mrs. Jones had a thing going on?
Yeah, conveniently left out of the song.
But it seems like they'd meet at the cafe like at 12:30. So a little afternoon delight, Starland Vocal Band. Started out this morning, now so... You see what I'm saying?
How bad do you think she is? Do you think she walks her husband to work and then before she goes home just goes to the cafe?
Walks her husband to work? What is it?
I'm picturing
Does he need help finding it? What do you It's like, he gotta stop and piss on a fire hydrant on the way? No wonder she's fucking around with Mr. Jones. He's incontinent.
Hands him a bagged lunch.
Gives him a little kiss on the cheek and
That's
says,
what I'm saying, yeah.
Okay, Mr. Jones, you be home.
Have fun at the mill. I'll be at home doing nothing.
No. We need more information. Billy
Yes.
Paul should have done a sequel song. Or an answer song, as they used to call them back in the old days.
Well, maybe after this AEW drama that we could have a second investigation into Billy Paul and Mrs. Jones and, in fact, Mr. Jones. But my question...
Do you think that
Yes.
Mr. Jones ever hired a private investigator? A third party to follow Mrs. Jones around, potentially Billy Paul as well?
There is nothing in the song that indicates that Mr. Jones was privy to any of these goings-on.
Well, whether they were doing it in the privy or the cafe, wherever they were meeting, still, I think if he'd have hired an independent third-party investigator, we would have a report now. At least he could have cleared who the innocent parties were.
Yeah, I think the guilty party's the guy who wrote the song, and he's singing it. I know he says he's innocent, but listen to what he's saying. What I was going to ask you...
We both know that it's wrong, but it's much too strong to let it go now.
All right, listen.
Listen. Oh, you're going to rap for us now, Max.
Mac. All right.
Mac Caster.
Well,
That's him.
Before Mac the Knife over here gets into action, what I was going to ask you is, how old were you when you really got into soul music and funk? And, I mean, everyone's always surprised when they hear about the music you're actually into. I mean, you were going to Earth, Wind, and Fire concerts. How old were you when you got into that music?
Well, it was kind of contemporary. See, that's the thing. It's not like I had to go and research the back catalog. When was... Obviously, Maurice White and several of the members of Earth, Wind, and Fire and his family were with the Ramsey Lewis Trio. The In Crowd was a hit in 67.
You saw he just passed away, right?
Who?
Ramsey Lewis.
I did not.
Yesterday, he just passed away.
Well, sorry, Ramsey, but I would have talked about you earlier if I'd have known that you were sick. But anyway, but then Earth, Wind, and Fire, the first album was what, 71? I'm 10. So I'm starting to hear not only, Earth, Wind, and Fire and soul music, but also top 40 stuff on the radio. And then, you get your driver's license and you get the car stereo, at which my first car, the stereo cost 1/6 of what the car cost. And that was only like $400. But, and then the revolution in cassette tape sound was during the late 70s when I started making a little money, and then VCRs, etc. So I was into especially really well recorded shit, and stuff that it didn't matter whether it was Earth, Wind, and Fire or Boston, two completely different, obviously, genres and bands and kind of things, but I liked a variety of things as long as they were well recorded. That's why I got into Alan Parsons.
Did Louisville have a station, or when did it first have a station, if it did, that played?
Wait a minute. What do you mean did it first have a station?
Listen, let me finish my question.
We had several stations.
I have a question.
All right. Well, I got an answer.
As I was saying, did Louisville ever have a station that early on embraced what in America would be under the umbrella of new wave, but punk music, new wave music, late 70s, early 80s? Was there anything locally that, took that on, or was everything just straight ahead, top 40 rock and roll?
If they did, and this would be 40 years ago, I wasn't listening to it, so I don't remember. We had the first FM rock station that we had in town was WLRS, The Walrus. And that was 71, 72 maybe. And that was album rock. And obviously I needed the car stereo because my first car only had an AM radio in it to begin with. But no, at the time here in Louisville, correct me, Travis Heckel, you're still alive as of last report. We appreciate you coming back and nipping up. He's almost as old as I am. QMF was the one of the big rock stations in town. Wacky Radio had been the AM top 40, rock and roll type station with the crazy DJs before most people got FM radio. But I don't know if anybody was embracing new wave at that point.
All right, and you certainly never embraced that, even though you like good sounding music. You never embraced.
I was shortwave.
You were shortwave.
I was shortwave.
All right, well let's see.
So those figures go on sale on Saturday, September 7th.
Oh shit! You started talking about Billy.
Shit.
You started talking about Billy Paul. I didn't realize you weren't done with the figures.
No, I was done with the figures. I'm just trying to bring you back into something entertaining.
Well, there's no hope for that this week here on the show, ladies and gentlemen. But let's see what we can do. This fucking chair. Now this chair's really pissing me off.
Wait a minute. Hold on here now. I thought you threw the squeaky chair out the window months ago before you moved into the brand new enlarged last manor.
It wasn't out the window, but I did throw it. And I did get rid of it, and I got a new one.
And it's squeaking again.
And it's now creating squeakiness.
What are you doing in that chair? You're not allowed to do things like that in a chair in a home with children in it.
First of all, I'm sitting in the chair, sometimes aggressively jumping into the chair before I sit.
Aggressively jumping.
What could I possibly even be doing in your filthy mind that would cause this chair to be in such disrepair with the children in the house, God forbid?
Well, it just, if Child and Family Services hears you got a squeaky chair, they're going to instantly know what you've been doing. Because haven't you ever heard the old saying, if the chair is rocking, then don't come a-knocking? Or if the chair is squeaking, then quit peeking?
I've never heard either of those.
No, well, especially the kids, if the chair's squeaking, you got to quit peeking. The kids on that one, you could tarnish their minds like that.
All right. Well, speaking of minds tarnished,
it's your show.
It's my show, motherfuckers.
Few weeks, it's your show.